Yo, welcome again, audience. It's your boy Galu, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a follow-up on my last video where I converted some of the DPS characters into strategists in this game, but now I'm going to do the exact same thing but for tank. I'm going to let you guys know ahead of time already that I think that tank has a little bit less of like characters I can transfer over just simply because of hitbox sizes, but in a hypothetical scenario where you do convert these characters, I think these would be fantastic changes. All right, so let's get on to the first character I would personally convert into a tank, and I'm pretty sure it's not even it's pretty obvious it's going to be Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic already is pretty bulky. I mean, he has 375 base HP, which is wild, and I feel like you could just go the extra mile and make him a tank. It's not really that hard of a decision to make. I personally would maybe make him how would I personally like adjust his HP? I think maybe having 400 base HP with the ability to get bonus HP every time you do your backshot ability. You can probably enlarge his player model a little bit, his base character model a little bit, so that he's a little bit easier to hit as a tank. But then when you go into this big form, I think you should have the ability to be able to toggle it. Like, so let's say you have 100 elasticity. You should just have the ability to enter into that state whenever you want. So you could just hold onto the elasticity as however long you want, but as soon as you have it, you can go into it and get into your big form. Let me get into big form real quick. So you get into big form. I think you should have an option on how long or when you want to pop it. You can have it be on a duration, or you can have it be on a cooldown or something. But I think that would be an obvious change for Mr. Fantastic as well. I mean, this one is also a pretty decent tanking ability. The only one that I would say is would need a little bit of a buff if he was a tank would be the right click that he like attaches to people like that. I feel like that should be a little bit smoother to activate or like shoot out a little bit faster, because it would give him a lot more team utility. He already has a lot of slows and CC and stuff, so I feel like just going the extra mile to make him a tank would make the most sense. For his ultimate, I feel like you just up the slows on it, maybe lower the damage a little bit, but you can slow stack, and I think that would be a pretty cool effect for that ult. Either that, or you can make it so that every single time you like launch up in the air, you bounce them up in the air. Maybe that could be a thing, so it could be like a big CC ult that you could set up for your team. So that would personally be how I would make Mr. Fantastic a tank. It really isn't that hard to kind of convert him into a tank. It's pretty self-explanatory actually, how you would just convert his abilities. So yeah, that's Mr. Fantastic. All right, next we're gonna go on to Wolverine, and I believe Wolverine can be a pretty cool tank if you designed him correctly. So how would I do that? One, I would increase his base HP to 450 or 500, make him squishier compared to the rest of the roster, because he is gonna have a slightly shorter hitbox than the rest of them. I think you can maybe make his enrage mechanic where he builds up rage and does better max HP damage. You can have that ramp up slower so that he doesn't feel as oppressive. But I will say that like his whole entire shtick is being able to regenerate and stuff like that. So with him being added to the tank role, or if he were to get added to the tank role, I would remove his passive. This passive right here, let's see, that allows him to just get bonus HP based on how much damage you take after you die. I feel like that shouldn't be his passive. They should remove that and give him some other passive that maybe allows him to generate bonus HP every single time he right clicks or something like that. But I think instead of that, you should make it so that every single time you pop your shift or the shout ability, you gain a little bit of like lifesteal for 4 to 5 seconds. I think is the duration of that, and I think that would make a lot more sense for his kit to be able to like regenerate the damage he's taking. For his ultimate, I mean, you can kind of just keep it the exact same. It's a CC ult that gets a bunch of kills. You can maybe make it so that it doesn't do as much damage, so it doesn't one shot you, but the CC is longer. I feel like that is a pretty easy way to make him a tank. Just have him be a super like hard CC tank, kidnap tank, kind of like Angela, but instead is more of a brawl tank instead of a super mobile kidnap tank. This one you can have him be more of a giga brawl character, and let's just say like let's make it so that he doesn't do as much damage, but he's tankier. You can also make that a thing as well. I just personally think since due to his smaller hitbox, you're probably going to want him to be squishier because he's going to be harder to hit. But I feel like this would be a really sick idea for a tank, and he's already kind of halfway there. He's pretty tanky, so yeah. All right, last but not least, we're gonna have Blade up next, and I believe Blade could easily be a tank. And what I would personally do is make him kind of like the anti-heal lifesteal tank. I feel like that would be a cool niche to have for him, because right now, as it is, like I feel like he's kind of an okay DPS. I wouldn't say he's like meta or like Giga broken. I feel like he's kind of okay, but I feel like him as a tank would be just really fun. Like having your lifesteal, having your anti-heal would be a really cool shtick to have. And like his ultimate is already kind of like a setup ult. It's like, it's what's it called? A big anti-heal ability. And I feel like that is just it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, what you would do, you increase his hitbox size a little bit, you increase his base HP, make it maybe like 500, so he's on the squishier side of tanks because you're gonna have lifesteal. Again, I think I already said it before, but make his hitbox slightly bigger to make him easier to hit for people. And then yeah, I think you can probably keep his damage the same. His damage doesn't seem like that insane. It gets insane when you have max stacks. But I feel like that would give him the ability to brawl on the front line, keep his like lifesteal type of hero fantasy, and probably make him more viable. I feel like if he was a tank, he would be a lot more viable there than trying to be a tanky DPS, because DPS you can't really have the HP as like tanks, because that would just be ridiculous. But I feel like the whole lifesteal playstyle would fit a lot better as a tank than a DPS. So that's what I would personally do to Blade. Again, these changes are just supposed to be like a for fun concept video, because I mean, I already showed it in the last video, but look how many duelists we have, man. Assuming they make the changes I said above, let's see, I'm gonna do some math real quick. So DPS have 23 right now, right? And let's say they subtract the 4 that I suggested in the previous video, and that would boost support up to 15 after, assuming Rogue is a support after this next season. That would put supports at 15. So let's just take 23 minus 4. That would make 19 DPS. And with the changes I suggested in this video, where I said they should convert Wolverine, Blade, and Mr. Fantastic to tank, that would subtract 3 more, making the DPS roster 16. And boosting the tank roster up to, I believe, 14 would be the amount. And that to me is a more balanced roster, because every single role has about the same amount of characters. The characters that are currently in DPS would make sense as their role, because the ones that I'm picking are ones that canonically are either traditionally more tanky or traditionally have the ability to heal. So that is the entire point of these 2 videos, is to point out that instead of making these weird hybrids where a Mr. Fantastic is just a tanky DPS, why not just go the extra mile and make him a tank? If you were a Mr. Fantastic player, would you not just want your character to just be a tank character? Because then you won't get flamed, because no one's gonna flame you for locking Mr. Fantastic if you're a tank. But they will flame you for locking Mr. Fantastic if you're going have a 1-3-2 comp, or you have a 0-4-2 comp. Like, just because Mr. Fantastic is quote unquote tanky, he does not have the stats and the ability to actually like stay as a main tank or like as an actual tank. So I feel like having those characters I suggested into the tank roster would not only balance out the overall roster of this game along with the supports, because that would make supports have 15 characters, that would make tank have 14 characters, and DPS have 16. That is a way more balanced and fleshed out roster in this game, and I guarantee you will have way more tank and support players if you make a change like that. But obviously, there are fan bases for each of these characters, so if I made you angry, I apologize. These are just like hypotheticals. But then again, like for me personally, would I rather as someone who plays Storm, would I want to keep playing Storm when we already have so many DPS, or would I love for Storm to be a support, so then when I play them, I'm not getting flamed for insta-locking said character? No one's gonna blame you for insta-locking Mr. Fantastic if he was an actual Vanguard, because people are already not wanting to play tank. If you add some characters like Wolverine, Mr. Fantastic, and Blade into the tank roster, it would, one, like, I feel like those people would still play those characters if they really liked them a lot. They would actually just be better. They would actually just be better because you'd be tankier. You'd have the ability to make plays and stuff more, obviously at the sacrifice of a little bit of your damage. But like in general, no one's gonna flame you for insta-locking Wolverine if like you're on tank, or like let's say you're Mr. Fantastic or Blade on tank. No one's gonna do that. Well, some people might if you're doing bad, but like in general, that is the main reason why I made these 2 videos, is to showcase that you can technically balance out this hero roster. It really shouldn't be that bad, and really isn't that hard to. With just a little bit of tweaking and stuff, I feel like you could make those characters work. And I specifically chose the ones I chose because those characters don't exactly have a ginormous fan base. Again, we need more tanks, we need more strategists, and I know they already have their plans out for the upcoming characters, but doing this change would make it a lot easier. In my humble opinion, it is a lot easier to rework a current character into a role that they just make sense in than trying to create new characters, and that would just allow for them to drop some DPS here and there as well. So this is a personal change that I would make to this game to balance out the roster. So yeah. But that's going to do it for today's video. Again, this is just a follow-up to my previous video where I converted a lot of these DPS characters into supports that actually make sense in lore because they actually heal. So I'm very curious to see what you guys thought about my tank changes. Again, I don't really play these characters that I suggested, so if you guys have a suggestion that would make them play better as a tank, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I am very curious to see what my fellow tank players out there think of these 3 characters and how they would want them to play in the tank roster. With all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.